Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, and Tylor Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, the world's largest Heroclix retailer. Find Heroclix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your Heroclix order. If you like what you're hearing, merchant and pre-order items do not apply if you haven't forgotten. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/ClixedOff. We have a few more days left in our February contest for a Brick of War of the Realms, where you fill out a tier maker and you can get a free entry, and also you can get entries for becoming a Patreon member. Because if you like what you're hearing today, check us out, patreon.com/ClixedOff, $1 and $3. Help support us and get entered into our monthly giveaways. $5 and above gets entered into our exclusive Discord channel for HeroClix strategy and tactics. And Clixed Off is also brought to you today by the bottle of red wine that I had tonight. I typically
Boone's Farm.
It was not Boone's Farm. It was a it was a bourbon barrel aged red wine. I have not drank much in the past 14 months, so I am perfect for a podcast tonight. So,
is it a dry red or a sweet red?
Sweet. So, joining me tonight is Tylor Steel Well-Telling Spees. And what is it? What is it? Elden Tylor, or is it Tylor Elden Scrolls?
Tylor the Elden Ring.
Tylor Dodge Roll Spees.
Elden Scrolls. You just combined two games. It's Elden Ring.
Yeah, and then Alex. Alex, I'm just back on not having a good middle name for you. Coos.
Oh hey, yeah. This is, man, it sounds like we all had wine tonight. We're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, we're all over the place. We haven't recorded in a few weeks, so it's fine. And then our main special guest tonight is Azarith Styrffe, the Coffee and Clix champion. So congratulations on your win, Azarith. So,
thank you.
Tylor, there is a fan in your background again, just FYI.
Got it.
It's funny how we can hear everything but Tylor.
But Tylor?
Right. Yeah.
No, we can't hear you at all. You're in the other room playing Elden Ring.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. You are pretty low on your volume. So
what if Tylor got sucked into Elden Ring and he's trying to call to us from the game?
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. So
how regardless of how amazing the game is, out of all the worlds it gets sucked into, Elden Ring's probably bottom of the list, right? Like Pokemon, that'd be a cool place to go to. Ton of other cool places, but a Dark Souls type game, no thank you. As cool as the game is, I do not want to get sucked into one of those.
Although you got to be careful getting sucked into a Pokemon world now with Pokemon Legends of Arceus, because those Pokemon try to kill you.
That is true. That is very true. No,
you're not volume on your microphone. So, anyways, tonight we are here to, of course, talk about Azarith's win. That's going to be the last part of the episode. I personally have two hot takes to share throughout the episode, and then I think we're going to start off with my recent collection buy. And kind of the story behind that. And Tylor, it sounds like you're shuffling papers now.
He's got to file reports.
Yeah, it's are you filing TPS reports tonight on a Friday, or
the Elden Ring strategy guide?
The Prima strategy guide.
Yeah. Yeah, did you go to GameStop today and buy that? Oh
I'm
man,
not gonna lie. I miss those things.
I do too.
yeah, they were they were super OP.
Like they were so fun to like when you had to take a bathroom break. You're like, I'm gonna take the strategy guide with me, and I'll sit there and figure out what I'm supposed to do.
I used to take it to school with me when I was in grade school, and I would just sit there and read it.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. So like, I know Alex, you're like 34 or 5, right?
35.
Right. Yeah. Are you going to be 36 this year, or did you already just recently turn?
Yeah, later this year.
All right, so we're the same age. I'm going to turn 36 this year too, so it's fine, Alex. And so is Azarith, how old are you? Are you going to be like what, like 30?
I'm going to be 30. I'll be 33 this year.
Okay. So you're about to still, so you're right there with us. Tyler's the young gun here. But I remember like going to the grocery store and buying the cheat code guides.
Yeah.
The Game Shark guides, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's what we used to roll out. That's what we used to, have to play with.
Yep.
Back in the day.
It evolved. Like it was at one point the cheat code guides, and you bought the Prima strategy guides, and then you went to like game FAQs when everything went online. It's like, like, oh, I'm going to go to game FAQs to find it. And now it's just you Google it and you get a bunch of garbage websites.
Do you remember Nintendo? Do you remember Nintendo Power?
I love Nintendo Power. I wish I could go back and collect them all.
Right.
Well, so I was a Sega Genesis guy, so.
All right, respect.
No, that's the worst one.
And Tyler's back.
Tyler's back. So
I sound okay.
All right, I'll bring us back together. You sound better now. So,
I remember, not to take us. I just want one last thing about Nintendo Power.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got me into Pokemon. I remember reading about Pocket Monsters coming out, being so hyped as a kid. Sitting here reading the Nintendo Power because it's like, here's Pallet Town, and you go up to Route 1 or whatever. And then I remember reading that saying, all right, I'm going to pick like Charmander or Squirtle. And then the anime hit, and then the game came out. It was like such a golden time as a kid.
I was so into Pokemon as a kid. I played Fire Red and didn't even own a Game Boy. I borrowed a Game Boy from a neighbor.
I wasn't allowed to play Pokemon because it caused seizures. So
I'm sorry that you were deprived of that, Tyler.
That's so random.
I'm sorry you were deprived of that joy, Tyler.
Me too. It was sad.
Yeah, so like I'm with Tyler. Like I also had some pretty strict restrictions on the content I was allowed to consume. So
meanwhile, my mom's sitting there playing Mortal Kombat, kicking my ass.
Yeah, it's very similar here. My mom was playing Doom, Myst. Yeah, legit. I would sit there and she's playing Doom or she's playing Myst, all those computer games. I remember Seventh Guest.
Yeah,
I wasn't allowed to play Smash Brothers because it had Pikachu in it.
I remember when
the
day Pokemon Gold came out, I was on a field trip and I used all of my lunch money on the field trip to buy the game. I didn't even bring a Game Boy. And I remember my mom was so mad because I had to like bum food off of people because I just used my lunch money to buy a Pokemon game.
This podcast took the best turn it could possibly
take. Yes. So speaking of nostalgia.
Right. Yeah, speaking of things that are 20 years old.
King of segues. I got you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us back around there, Alex. So Jason Alvey was not able to join us tonight to provide some color here. So I just wanted to tell the story of how I ended up with 16 Legacy Thanoses tonight. And Tyler, your fan is still on.
I don't hear it that much, though. I don't really hear it.
I don't hear it too much.
I don't either, but he's still popping through in Discord. But anyways, so this guy, I was talking to Jason, right? Because Jason's local to me. Tyler and Alex are both about 3 to 4 hours away from us. But Jason's local, and we play every week. And so, like, I'm talking to Jason. I'm like, Jason, we're going to the local flea markets and stuff, and I'm like, Jason, there's got to be a bucket full of Thanoses somewhere, right? Like, there's got to be a honey hole of legacy card shit somewhere, right? Yep. It's just gotta be, right? I'm like, where is it? I'm gonna find it. So I remember this guy posting this collection back in December, and I'm like, he was about 3.5 hours away from me, and I'm like, I know I'm not gonna go do it. I don't want to do it. It's just too much stuff. But then, so like, I'm literally telling this to Jason on Thursday. This was about 8 days ago. And then on Sunday, the guy reposts the collection. And then Jason tags me in it, and I see it. And once again, I'm like, he's about 3.5 hours away. It's just too much. I don't want to spend the $400 on the collection. It was in the Heroclix International Exchange group. And I'm like, I just don't want to spend the money. I don't want to drive that far. I don't really have time right now to get it done. Right? It's just, I'm making all of the excuses to just not do it. Right? Instead of like figuring out what it is to go do it. Because in the pictures, right, you can see that there is a Legacy Thanos and a Veteran Doom.
Okay.
So you can see that in the photos, and I'm like, okay, well, he's probably
asking for it?
He was asking for it was $400. So Jason tags me, and I just ignore it for most of the day. I don't even really talk to Sam about it. But then Mark P, I don't know how to pronounce Mark's last name, Pogowski. I think it's a Polish type name. Pozgi, Mark Pozgi messages me, and Mark's up in Chicago with Nate and Pat and Ken, and Mark messaged me and says, hey, if you get that collection, I'll go halvesies with you. Because there's Mage Knight in there. And he says, I want all of the Mage Knight. You can have all the Heroclix. And I'm like, well, this makes it more interesting. So he's about 3.5 hours away, which is near Cincinnati, which is where Tylor's at. So I messaged the guy, and I was like, hey, will you meet me halfway? And he's like, no, I can't meet you. I don't have time. I don't want to deal with it. He's like, I FaceTimed the guy and talked to him for like 20 minutes. And he's like, somebody offered me $100 for this Thanos back in December, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So he's asking $400 for the collection. Somebody offers him $100 for the Thanos. It's on top of the pile. Because you got to remember, this is like a 25-gallon tote and two 15-gallon totes. Half full. The 25-gallon tote is full. And he's like, this guy doesn't want to deal with shipping out one little figure for $100, right? So I'm like, okay. So we get to talking, and I'm like, he's like, well, I'm a school counselor, and I'm off on Monday, because this past Monday was President's Day. And I look at my work calendar, and I'm like, well, I can get off. I can take off the day. We've got optional holidays. I'll take the day off. So I message my boss and my team, and I'm like, I got to take off Monday. And I'm like, I can come up there and meet you Monday. So I get on the road. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which is early for me because I work from home. So that's early. So I get up. I get on the road. I'm out on the road by 6, which is 7 Eastern time. And I head towards Cincinnati. I also messaged Tylor to be like, hey, Tylor, I'm going to be here. You want to meet for lunch? Tylor wakes up 2 hours after I've already...
I was going to say, Tylor doesn't wake up till the evening.
If you messaged me at 5 a.m., you had a better shot of getting a response.
Right, yeah. So I plow up there, and I get there about 10:30, which is 9:30 my time. I just drive. Traffic's good. All this other stuff, right? I have a good trip up there. And everything goes really well. I get the stuff. And I'm like, this is a shit ton of stuff. Like, you think like a 25-gallon tub, right? Like, if you store stuff in
It's even more than you anticipated.
It's even more than I anticipated, right? And, like, my instinct is like, I want to stand here and go through it. But I'm like, I have got about 3 hours and 10-minute drive home. I have got to get home or I'm not going to get home today. So I plow back home. I eat at Waffle House, which we don't have Waffle House near my house, near my home. So I do get to enjoy some Waffle House. And then when I'm at the Waffle House about 90 minutes back the other way, Tylor messaged me like, hey, where you at? So to put this in perspective, I sent Tylor the note of where it was at. So this whole collection was 19 minutes from Tylor's house.
Oh, wow. You could have just had Tylor pick it up.
Yeah.
I could have.
Or I could have just paid attention to Paul.
Yeah, or Tylor could have done this deal himself. So, anyways, I get home at about 1:15, right? So it's 6 o'clock in the morning till about 1:15. So what is that? 7 hours and 15 minutes. I make the turn and burn trip. And I really want to take a nap at this point.
Sure.
But I don't. I'm like, I've got to figure out what's going through this. So I go through the 115-gallon tub that has it has a bunch of baggies in it. And it's just such a weird experience. It's almost like surreal.
It's probably like a trip down memory lane.
It is, but like this guy, like I'm trying to. So like the guy that I got the collection from is not the guy that collected it. He got the collection from the guy that collected it, and he said that he just gave it to him. And so like. Clix have maintained their value throughout the years, right? Like, so, like, the veteran Nightcrawler, I'll explain what I'm trying to say here, Tylor. Like, the unique Nightcrawler from the second Marvel set, Clobbering Time, was $100 back then.
I remember that Nightcrawler.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, like, it was the first Nightcrawler, the first piece that had hypersonic or whatever in Marvel.
First Marvel piece.
Yeah, first Marvel piece to have hypersonic, right? So, like, it was $100 back then. There ends up being 8 of them in this collection.
What's he worth now?
$25 a piece.
That's not bad.
So, and I'm like, okay. So, I go through the first tub, and obviously I'm like, I want to make my money back and my time. So I'm trying to find like, KC pieces, the old KC pieces like KC Superman, KC Wonder Woman. They made a legacy card for, and Nightcrawler and Thanos, right? Because I know I got the Thanos, the Veteran Doom. So I go through the first 15-gallon tub, and I find 6 complete Thanoses. And this is before Sam gets off work and comes home. I'm riding high. I'm like, I have found 6 fucking legacy Thanoses in this one container. And so I've weighed it all. It's 122 pounds of Heroclix.
That's a lot.
And so...
Didn't you only paid half for it, right?
I only paid half for it. I said that right, because Mark P. went in half with me. Mark Pozowski
You paid $200.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. $200.
Right. I paid $200, and I end up in the first tub with 6 legacy Thanoses. And my mind is blown. I'm just like, what have I done? Right? So...
You found the bucket.
I found the bucket that I was looking for. So then Sam comes home, and the first night, I think I end up with like 14 complete Thanoses and like 20 sculpts total.
Holy smokes.
That was the first night. Sam and I had to go to bed. We both had to work on Tuesday, that sort of thing. So Tuesday after work, Sam comes home, we start sorting again. I end up with 16 complete legacy Thanoses and 8 extra sculpts. So there was a potential total of 24 legacy Thanoses in this collection.
That's not bad.
And
Man. It almost seems like that was the figure that was the most in the tubs.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. But so I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I end up with 8 of the Nightcrawlers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. I ended up with 21 KC Magogs. Because like these KC figures were big deals back in the day. I end up with like 6 Legacy Fire Lords, the veteran.
Any Lockjaws?
No, so that was what's funny. So Lockjaw, so the 075 Lockjaw, Doctor Doom was not from Fantastic Forces. I end up with 2 or 3 of them. So Fantastic Forces, we got the Scarlet Witch, the Lockjaw, and the 095 Doom. I end up with 0 of them. There are hundreds of figures from sets before and after Fantastic Forces. But there was like 5 total figures from Fantastic Forces in the entire 122 pounds. Now, would I have loved to ended up with a bucket full of veteran Lockjaws? Sure, I'm not complaining by any means, but like
16 Thanoses.
Yeah, it was just such an oddity because there was so many figures from sets before and after Fantastic Forces. It was like this collector skipped Fantastic Forces by.
He just hated that set so much he refused to buy any of it.
Now, did he have a decent amount of Fantastic Four pieces? Like just like.
Yes. There was other Fantastic Four pieces, just not from.
He didn't just hate Fantastic Four.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that is correct.
I mean, I could see that though. I mean, I could see someone saying, "I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan. I don't want to keep any of these pieces."
Right. So there was plenty of like. There was a Mr. Fantastic that I ran into a whole bunch of, and there was Human Torches. And Invisible Girls, those were all from Clobber in Time.
What was the most recent set
that
was in the collection?
So the most recent thing was GSX. And there was no less than 30, I'm not exaggerating here, there was no less than 30 GSX Super Rare Storm bases in that collection, and not a single GSX Storm sculpt.
That's so
yikes.
weird.
Every one of them was broken off, and there was GSX Storm dials bases in there, no less than 30.
I don't understand why would someone have this many Heroclix? Right?
I don't know. That's the whole thing.
It's
like
beyond the collector, it's like a hoarder.
Yeah.
Right. So
unless he was a collector or a seller.
But if he was a seller, right? Well, so Alex, I thought about the seller thing, and
he would know the value. Probably.
If he was a seller, then he was a pretty poor seller. Because he had like all these uniques and stuff that were worth money back in the day.
What if he owned a store and he just took in a collection and then like the store went under?
That had to have been what it was, but it doesn't explain like the lack of Fantastic Forces.
True.
Because so there was Clobber in Time, there was lots of Infinity Challenge, but there was
all Marvel, right?
Clearly,
there was a lot of HyperTime.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of Clobber in Time. I said that already. There was quite a bit of Explosion. Because I ended up with a lot of golds, the LEs. And I'm just looking through realms right here. So there was quite a bit.
How many Legacy Destinies did?
3.
Okay.
3 or 4. So Legacy Destiny was what was she? Was she Mutant Mayhem?
Yeah.
I think so.
And so I ended up with a few of her. I ended up with a few of the Deadpools.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Which those are, I mean, the decent money. They're about $30 with their legacy card.
Oh really?
Yeah. And then I
Deadpools
ended up.
are popular.
Deadpool's popular, and then I ended up with was it what was the Captain America from?
Ultimates.
Ultimates. So there was Ultimate stuff.
That was a great set.
So that was 2004. Mutations and Monsters. I'm sorry, Mutant Mayhem was 2004. Ended with that. There was Collateral Damage figures in there. Because like I ended up with a bunch of the 092 unique Eclipsos. And then there was a bunch of there was a set after Fantastic Forces. Fantastic Forces was 2005, but there was a bunch of Collateral Damage. But then it went all the way up to GSX. But like as an example, in GSX, there was only the Storm and then a couple of sculpts of the Apocalypse that had the Legacy card. So it was a very unique collection. I did end up with a few of the indie judge prizes, but I ended up with the European ones. So the Europe,
There's gotta be a market for that, right?
there is, right? So the European indie judge prize was fairly rare, but it's there's a very short list. There's probably two things that are on the near unobtainium list of Heroclix, and that is the black suit Wolverine from the Toy Fair the Toy Fair one. So that's when he's got the black suit, both claws out. Because in Infinity Challenge, he's got the black suit, claws with a sword.
Yeah.
So I looked at every Wolverine, and I have like a pail of Wolverine.
It's interesting that Legacy Cards has done this to us. I mentioned this in the group chat. Like, if you think but right before Legacy Cards came out, if you saw a collection for sale that had non-Oreo bases, you were like, no, no, thank you. I don't have time for that.
Right.
But now it's like, yeah, I'll go dumpster diving.
Yes.
To see if I can catch something.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've considered going to our local flea market to see if I can maybe find something.
Well, that's what I was doing, right? And then, but so unobtainium, right? The American, the Wolverine, like I was saying, and then the American Indie Judge Prize. So
Is there a Batman that's similar?
No, the Batman promo is fairly obtainable.
Oh, that's the one that has like his damage power split in half.
Yes, I think I have, and I have several of him. So
Back in the day.
yeah. So that was
I learned about how rare that Wolverine was at the Clix Cup. It was part of the trivia.
Yes. So I did not have any of those that I found, and then I did not have any of the other thing, the American Indie Judge Prize. But so
the European one.
I had the European one. I had 3 of them, so I kept one for myself. I actually had the RAV set of indie stuff from a collection I bought last year. But now I have a complete set, or as complete as I'm ever going to make it, of Indie Clix. Of Indie Clix.
The City of Heroes, City of Villains stuff?
No.
Oh.
But see, that was right in the middle of all this stuff. So
yeah. They just skipped it, I guess. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so weird. But lots of cool stuff, lots of KC pieces. And I assume I'm going to have to go back through this stuff. So we separated all out Marvel and DC into 2 separate tubs. We separated out the indie. We separated out the sports clicks, the Halo clicks, and the horror clicks.
You're just saving it, waiting for the next Legacy round to come out.
I was going to say, every set, Dan's going to have to go diving into the tubs and be like, what else we got?
Yep, totally fine, which is fine. So, so like, you know, if you add it all up, I've been trading for legacy cards, just so whenever I sell this stuff, right, I'm selling it as the card and the figure, right? So it's a complete set. It adds a little bit more value. I found that most of the time I'm able to sell it easier as a complete set.
Sure.
So 16 Thanoses at about $80 a piece. The KC stuff. So funny enough, I still have 15 Thanoses. The KC stuff and one Thanos has made me back my time, gas, my portion of the order, or my portion of the collection, and put me into the gravy. So I still have 15 Thanoses, and I'm getting legacy cards. So
there you go.
So that was.
If anybody needs a legacy Thanos, reach out to Dan.
Yeah, let me know. So, and you would think that the craziness ends there, right? And I checked with Mark before I started the podcast, and he was okay with me sharing this. I'm going to give Mark his stuff to Ken, Pat, and Nate at PJ's event in April. But Mark was all over this because the Mage Knight stuff is off the wall.
Oh, really? Yeah, Mage Knight's really valuable.
Right. Really? So there was one complete and one base of the LE tournament LE. It's called Heroclix. I don't know what that is. It's just the name of the thing.
Heroclix, no way.
Heroclix. Right. Apparently, it by itself is worth $300.
That's mind-blowing.
And there was a chase figure of some sort, which was there was 2 Crisis Soups in the collection too.
Oh, that's actually Heroclix related.
Right? Yeah. But
the one that David Newmark's been looking for?
No, it wasn't. It was the other one. But there was a Chase Mage Knight in there, which itself is worth like $100, $200, but it was the same level as the Soups. That was.
Mage Knight is. Do people still play Mage Knight?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really, but there's people that collect it. And
Mage Knight came before Heroclix.
Yeah. So the Chase was like 1 in 48 cases, and it's worth another $100, $200.
So he easily made his money back.
He did, and then there was some big troll guy with an axe that's worth like $200, and then there's the 4 horsemen that were like $150 a piece. And so he made his money back as well. And like he was kind of like sheepishly telling me this stuff. His way I kind of took it, right? I know Mark listens to the podcast, so Mark, I know you didn't have any problem telling me. It's just, you know, I kind of feel like you were like not wanting to tell me, like, but it's fine, right? Like we agreed to the deal, so it didn't really matter to me. But like I was like, Mark, how much is this shit that I have, right? Like, because I'm never gonna go actively seek out Mage Knight, right?
Right.
I'm like, how much is this stuff that I've got on my table here for you? And he's like, well, you know, it's like $1,200 worth of stuff. And so, moral of the story is, this guy that I got the collection from did not want to even go out and do it. And
he lost a lot of money if he would have just put the time in.
Yeah, he did. So, you know, it just ends up being like, you know, like Heroclix to me is just this well-rounded adventure of, you know, content creation, you know, playing the game competitively, playing the game casually, collecting, and I guess enough to pay for Heroclix for the rest of the year for me via a side hustle. So,
well done, Dan.
Yeah, so it was a crazy thing. And nobody wanted to deal with the guy. Like, could you imagine if I missed out on it because somebody?
When did you say he originally posted it?
December 30th. So like 7-ish, 8-ish weeks ago.
Could you imagine if Tylor would have just jumped on it and walked down the street and gotten it?
I'd have been fine with it, right? Right? Like,
that would never have happened. I would never have done that.
Like, yeah, we'll meet down the block.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly the right choice. I just It's not something I ever would do.
Right, like Tylor doesn't do that. Tylor, I mean, I buy and sell. Like last year, for example, like I went and bought a collection for $100, and I got some KC figures out of it. There was no like Thanos wasn't a thing back then, but there was no Infinity Challenge in this collection. But like it turned out to be like I've got it over here on my shelf that we cleaned up. I got like an REV set or whatever you want to call it, like a CUR basically of almost everything up to Avengers. The first carded sets. And I didn't have that, right? Because I've been playing the game for 8 years. So it was a big up for me to get that stuff because I didn't have it, and I like to collect. So
Sure.
Keep in mind, Azarith, that Tylor doesn't buy modern.
Oh, I know.
So him buying old stuff.
I've sold one figure to Tylor.
What's it?
No,
Maggot?
No, it's DJ Doom.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I'm trying to remember the last time I bought figures, and I think it was that set. The Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it was DJ Doom.
Yeah. So I would wrap it up with just saying real quick, like I didn't like share this story to like flex or anything. I just wanted to share it to like document my adventure.
It's cool.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Because like I want to reach back out to the guy and be like, can you get me in touch with the guy that gave it to you? Like my worry is that like he died or something.
Could be.
And you know that is a bit sad because if he died, like that means his story is lost. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to at some point get that story back.
Yeah.
And
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story.
right.
I appreciate the Hamilton reference.
That was for Tylor too.
Yeah,
I knew he would appreciate that.
Well, I definitely appreciate it from an existential sense. I didn't understand the Hamilton reference.
This is that.
So, but that was cool, right? So, but Sam and I probably put a combined 12 hours and a couple of late nights into it all. And like all of it was separated. There was baggies with just dial bases and, you know, the dial bottoms. And like every figure had popped off of its base. So we touched every one of those dials. And like when you look at like so many, like there's an Amazo, a Morgan Le Fay, and a Vision unique that all have similar stats to Thanos. And like so like you have to look and stare and think and then move on. If not, you might miss it. So at any rate, it was a lot to do, but it was well worth it. So I'm in the process of still selling all that stuff in the Facebook trade and sell groups and stuff. So
Nice.
anyways, that was a cool adventure. So on to hot take number 1. Chipotle is trash, Tylor.
You
Ooh.
bastard.
I mean, it's worse than Moe's.
Moe's is the worst one.
You're
Why
allowed
are you
to be
here?
wrong. You're
Why are-
allowed to be wrong, Tyler.
Why are you here? Moe's is literally the trash tier. It's like, how can we do Chipotle but the cheapest version possible? That's what Moe's is. You disgust me.
They have better queso.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so today I went to I was like, I want to give Chipotle a try. Right, Tyler's been talking it up, and I haven't been to Chipotle in probably 10 years at this point. I was like, the last time I went to Chipotle, it instantly...
Before the E. coli.
Before the E. coli stuff, right? Before they redid all their stuff, I instantly had to poop. And I was like, Tylor, I'm going to try Chipotle. If it makes me poop, I'm looking at you. So I tried...
Don't look at me while you poop.
Yeah, well, I did. So I tried Chipotle. It tasted okay. It was not exceptionally better than Moe's.
Okay, Chipotle's gone a little bit downhill over the pandemic, I think, because most of I think it's like 50% of their orders now are online, and I feel like the quality's dipped since then. So I'll give you that. There are options.
You know what the best? So Chipotle has been worse for me since I can't get carne asada. When they have the carne, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, carne asada
I don't know.
is good.
So I got a burrito bowl. I got the same order I get at Moe's. Burrito bowl, half chicken, half steak.
Mm-hmm.
Rice and beans. It shouldn't matter what flavor of rice and beans that I got. I got
Nope.
I got white rice and black beans.
Be better without any beans, but yeah, you're right. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay, sure. That's personal preference. But Chipotle did not have fajita vegetables.
What? They were out of them?
They just didn't have them today, which was bad. And then I got salsa, sour cream. I paid for the guac. It was fine. I was treating myself today. It was Friday. It was payday Friday. Plus I just bought a giant collection of shit. So the taste was on par or slightly worse than Moe's. And bro, I had to poop.
That's not how the human digestive system works, okay? You had it off. It was an off order, okay? Moe's is not better. Moe's is the worst. Cadoba's pretty good.
I don't know. I think the poop speaks.
Yeah.
Firstly, having to poop isn't always bad, right? It keeps you regular.
Right, but this was not like a oh, I can wait. It was like, oh, I have to go now type situation.
It's not Chipotle's fault. You don't blame Chipotle for your issues.
Okay, well, this wasn't my issues. But at any rate, so Chipotle is trash tier compared to Moe's.
I'll agree with that.
Man, all fast food right now is pretty trash tier. Like,
You're not wrong.
like, good gravy. I know that, like, all the stuff going on and inflation and issues. Like, I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Bojangles.
I've heard of it.
I went to a Bojangles, which is like KFC, but like Southern KFC. Like, they just deal with chicken. Like Zaxby's. They're like Zaxby's, but Southern.
Right. Bojangles is delicious, by the way.
Yeah, it's absolutely delicious. I went there and they told me they don't have chicken tenders. Like, the most basic chicken thing you can have. They didn't have any. They're like, no, we're out. That's it.
Oof.
And I'm like, how can this happen? I was very quite confused.
Right. So, anyways, that was hot take number 1. Hot take number 2 is more Heroclix related. So this week I had to do a little bit of YouTube moderation on some of our comments. Occasionally we just get people that are just say off the wall shit and like inflammatory, I don't know, the derogatory things. It's like you just don't want that stuff.
The shitty comments.
I didn't even see it.
But at any rate, somebody commented this week, and I was like, I want to see if they were in our Facebook group. So I looked up the post, and it was a post from 4 years ago where they decided to unfollow us. Yeah, they unfollowed us because of the things we said about the X-Men Xavier school set. And opinions change over time, and people develop. But I still have an opinion that I hold true 4 years later. X-Men Xavier School came out 4 years ago. About this time. And something I'm still kind of grouchy about 4 years later. Unimind was errated. And part of the explanation they gave was Unimind required him because he was able to pick a power on your opponent's turn, and they didn't like that Unimind was able to do that, right? They didn't like that you had too much decision making to do on your opponent's turn. And during the X-Men Xavier School, I complained that Leech, the one that was anti-Pika Power, had too much power because of that ability, right? Because they just freshly errated Unimind and like gave Leech a similar single power picking ability on your opponent's turn. And so I was salty about that a little bit. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? I am still salty about that because now they released Destroyer Prime, who not only gets to make a dice roll, you get to bring out a figure and have to decide what fucking square to put it in on your opponent's turn.
Fair.
And it was too much that Uni had to pick a power. That was part of the reason he got errated.
I think it's just because he was way too strong.
But you know what?
Excuses after that.
So like that. So Tylor, I'm okay with just saying if they had just left it at Uni was too strong. My bad, guys and gals. I'm okay with that. But they added.
That wasn't the reasoning you got.
That wasn't the. They added too much. Maybe they said too much. They said, "I'm sorry, guys and gals. He picks powers on your opponent's turn. That's too much of an interaction to have."
We can also agree that Destroyer is not okay.
Yeah, he's not Unimind powerful. I don't think Destroyer is too powerful. I don't think making a decisions on your opponent's turn is too powerful anyways, because you already decide Shape Change, Super Senses, Mastermind, and Probability Control on your opponent's turn. I'm okay with it. I just find it funny that like 4 years later, like they are still releasing things that increase the amount of decision making you have to make on your on your opponent's turn. So I find it funny. Anyways, that was my hot take number 2, is that like making decisions on your opponent's turn is not that big a deal. Therefore, hashtag unerrata Unimind, please.
Hashtag no thanks.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
So, I realize that I have talked for almost 40 minutes straight here this evening. So,
we might need to put a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode for all people who are here for only modern Heroclix talk. Join us at this point. So whatever the timestamp is.
Yeah. 48 minutes in, please start for the modern Heroclix talk.
After you get past the Pokemon discussion, skip ahead to the modern Heroclix.
Yeah, for real. Because they're going to turn it on and be like, what am I listening to?
Right. But I would say I was going to say like I was like, I'm having fun tonight. I am wine fueled tonight. I'm in a good mood. Right, let's have some fun. Right, Azarith's on, and he's been on before, so we're just having fun tonight. There's nothing there. It's another about 7 weeks until PJ's event, so we're kind of in a little bit of a lull. Next weekend's Brad's event. So
is that next weekend?
It is, Mr.
Like a week from today?
Yeah, like a week from tomorrow. But
March 5th.
Yeah. So like practice your team, Tylor, and like Alex decide on a team. Be cool.
Nah, that's all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're good? You're not gonna decide.
You have like 95% of modern to choose from now. You can. So.
Yep.
But
there are a lot of really good choices.
There
for
is
3 different teams.
There is.
Yeah, I don't think it actually affects building that much.
But but the last part of the segment that we're here today is surrounding Mr. Azarith Stryfe's win in the Coffee and Clix event, which ended up being 48 players, pod play, top 16.
How long did it last? Like total?
It was like 7 weeks from the start of January till mid-February.
Yeah.
Really? Dang.
Yep.
Didn't feel like that long.
It did. It really didn't, and it flowed really well.
I guess I didn't make it as long as you. I don't know how long those extra few rounds were, but
It wasn't very long at all. I mean, I made it one extra round than you did, Tyler,
Sure.
but it was not that bad. I mean, everybody got through the pod play took the longest because like I think like 70% of everybody like got through it in the first weekend, and we're like, okay, everybody, everybody wrap your stuff up, please.
It was everybody either finish early or at the deadline.
yeah. Maybe scoot the window in a little bit. I'm not sure. I feel like it's not that hard to get a Heroclix game in like 3 days.
Well, especially not with the amount of concessions and drops and.
Yeah, there
were some pods that like the winner of the pod played one game.
Really?
Right. Yeah. So like,
Yep.
So I would say this, Azarith, right? Like, if we break down an analysis of the event and we talk about the drops and the concessions, we don't discuss that. We don't discuss that in the light of like negating or taking away from your win of the event.
Absolutely.
But given the atmosphere, right, some of the results seemed like they were skewed based on the drops.
Sure, that's fair.
And
I will take solace in. We did have a drop in my pod, and I'm the only one that played all 3 games in my pod.
Right, yeah, you did. And they were so the thing is, like in my pod, there was a drop. I played and won my first game. I'm going to say barely, right? It wasn't a wipe. It was a well-fought battle. And then I lost my second game. So the third guy, our games came down to who was going to win our pod. And then he conceded, which means that I beat the person that I lost to because we also had a 0-0 loss. So, but what that comes down to is that the concession may have made me be seated higher or lower than where I could have been, which then affected my games through single elimination.
Yeah, the only thing I would have liked to have seen differently with drops / concessions is them not be awarded full points. They should have been awarded the same as a bye. They should have been awarded as a win with 150 points.
I tried to argue that with
I disagree.
people. Yeah, I didn't say anything to like Anthony or anything like that, but I went through. I mean, these guys could tell you. I was going through a whole thing where I was like, well, for me, what was the worst part? And there's no offense to Tylor. The worst part is that there were extra spots available for points, like your record. So it's like you had the top.
Yeah, the wild cards.
The wild cards. That was my really only big problem. If you have drops, okay, it's self-contained in the pod. But the problem is if you have wild cards, okay, well, all of them are elevated because they instantly get 300 points.
Yep.
And that's where I felt like, oh, that stinks for the few people that maybe played all 3 games and they,
Yeah, but, I mean, you got to look at the other side, right? Because if you give them 150 points, you're kind of screwing those people up.
But they didn't have to play the game.
They didn't have to, but it's not their fault that their opponent conceded.
But it's not. So in my example of I played the guy that dropped from my pod, and I won 300-0. Sure. My opponents shouldn't, in my opinion, should not be awarded the same victory that I got for playing.
But I'm saying that you're then punishing them because someone else quit.
But you could also lose that game.
You could, but
you're win. You get the win.
Yeah,
like you get a win. I get what you're saying, Tylor. Well, I don't remember exactly. Someone told me that one of the people in my pod dropped, I believe. After I played him.
After you played him, and it was the Thanos guy.
Yeah. I didn't score 300 points, and I wasn't given 300 points.
Right, so you beat the guy, you beat the Thanos guy, then he dropped, and then your other pod mates got the 300-point win that you didn't get.
Which kind of screws you.
Well, ultimately, though, I did look into it. I mean, those points ultimately didn't matter. But
Sure.
But there could have been a scenario where if I needed to get in on points, I had a good enough record, I didn't get it because I played my game. And I just wasn't, it's against Thanos. It's kind of hard at times to wipe Thanos unless you're super, super built for it, at least in this tournament. So all it leads me to think with this type of pod play is this: one, if you're going to run a pod play tournament, you just have to have a cutoff. Wild cards are not good for pod play. In theory, it sounds great. Like it's like, oh, cool, if you don't win your pod, you've got a chance. But
it's so hard to cut that off, though, because you can only do 16 or 32 or 64
or
sure.
8 right. So
or structure the tournament, or structure the tournament after the single elimination. You could structure it differently with buys and stuff like that.
Well, so but the thing is, you can do a top 12.
Yeah,
and you just make your wild cards play an extra game in, but then there is the downside that takes longer and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think my problem was if you took away the wild cards and it was just strictly you had all these drops, then they would be self-contained within their pod, and then it's just like, oh, this person dropped, everyone in the pod gets a win and full points just because they dropped. Or you could just say no. You could also say no points and no win if someone dropped, if you wanted to, if it's self-contained in a pod. I mean, it doesn't matter at that point.
I just want to go on record and say, none of this is, backlashing against, for Tony. He made a decision in the middle of the tournament. I respect the decision that he made.
Yeah. It's a new type of tournament we don't know. And this is, the one thing we're singling out because everything else was so good. It was a really fun tournament. It was, I really like pod play. Just going week to week, and you get to everybody's team was posted at the beginning, so you get to see matchups and stuff. If you want to watch a game, it's scheduled, and you can I'm going to watch this game. It was pretty fun.
It was right, and there was certainly nothing wrong with Tony's decision. Right, it's just a thought process we have on these things.
I just think it's a difference of opinion. Some people agree, some people disagree.
Right.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is it was a charity tournament. It wasn't, I don't think, ever intended to be. It probably got bigger, which is a great thing. But we kind of turned it into a major meta tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, it wasn't this big of a tournament
because it was sealed.
The year before, it wasn't 300 modern.
Well, that's true.
It was
that's
sealed,
true.
right?
But I mean, we've had pod play tournaments like this before. The Chicago people ran
that weren't this big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, so some of the early pod play tournaments of the pandemic during April to June of 2020 were this big, but then as we progressed through 2020 and then entered 2021, everybody got burnt out on online play, and then nothing online happened from June to December of 2021. Of significant size, and then this came out, and everyone was kind of refreshed on
the
broadcast stuff was
world.
Yeah, I mean, but that wasn't a pod play style tournament. That was a 1 day thing.
Okay.
Several other one day things had come out.
I just think strictly if you're going to run a pod play tournament, you need to either make sure that either have a very set drop policy or just don't allow wild cards unless you play a mini buy-in tournament, a win in your in type tournament, March Madness.
Right, he does, right? But if you, I don't know, you can either do it to where 9, if you're going to do a top 8, and you have buys, 6 through 12 have to play in for the top 8. That would be 6, 7, 8, or no, sorry, 5, 6, 7, and 8 have to play in 9, 10, 11, 12, and then that determines your top 8.
I feel like the same issues apply.
Hey, look, let me ask you guys a random question. Not semi-random. What is there any merit to maybe or thought behind having bigger pods? It would take more tournament structure because obviously you can't play everybody in the pod, but have it where it's like an 8-person pod.
I have no idea.
My brain is not functioning right now.
Eight-person pod and top 2 make it from the pod in.
Yeah,
and you have to play.
That's possible too. So,
because the thing people love about pod play, one is you get. I think everyone likes that you could see the team, so it's kind of nice to be able to a little bit of prep. But it's also the flexibility of being able to, hey, you've got a week to play these people, like. That's what people like. So you could do that in a bigger pod, or you could play around with that instead of just a 4-person pod to make it work better.
Sure.
I'm just thinking about different types of tournament structure to avoid this type of thing. Obviously, I mean, I think everyone's basically given up on COVID at this point. Like,
yeah, kind of.
Like we're too busy worried about the stuff going on overseas right now, where it's like I don't even see COVID really in the news anymore.
Well, so you got to remember, Alex, the pandemic ended yesterday.
My bad.
The same day that the invasion started.
They were waiting for COVID to end. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
How convenient of the pandemic to end.
Yeah, man. Well, now I wish the pandemic had continued.
No, you don't say that. Take that back.
Canceled.
Take that back. Canceled. Yeah, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. No more pandemic, please. But
are we talking teams?
We are. So, man, look at Tylor bringing us, like, it's the first time ever Tylor brings us back.
He wants to get back to Elden Ring. I knew it.
He's like, I knew it. No more Heroclix today. All right, so I tell you what, Azarith, tell us about your team and tell
how wrong we were.
Tell Tylor and Alex how terribly wrong they were for ranking Venom Wolverine so low.
You're trying to get out of it like you didn't put him in C.
I put it in C. That was higher than you guys. So
I will say that all 3 of you are wrong, and I'm very glad to prove it. So yeah, my team ended up like I guess I'll break down the team for anybody that hasn't seen it. It's a +6 monster theme with Blackheart, Venom Wolverine, Sky Tyrant, Venom Magneto, Commissioner, Orange Proteus, with Power Gem, Remaker Ring, and then a Reign of Terror for the map bonus. Venom Wolverine is as good as I thought she was when she first got spoiled. Like, I was high on her from the very beginning.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with not very good. I thought you
no. Oh yeah, you guys are absolutely right. She's just a charge piece. She's absolutely terrible.
Hey, I'm just saying. If I didn't know how your games went or hadn't heard anything about it, and you read off your team, I would have been like, well, yeah, you won. You've got Blackheart, Sky Tyrant, Venom Magneto, Commissioner. Yep. Like, okay, Venom Wolverine was there for flavor or something. I don't know. Like,
and she ended up she pulled a lot of weight. Every game, a different figure really got to shine, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said, when she first got spoiled, the problem was she was competing with Venom Rogue for that close combat piece with the new symbiote trait, which is amazing, by the way. That new symbiote trait is amazing.
It's pretty. Yeah, it comes in a lot, especially.
And people don't remember it.
Yeah, that's true.
But she was fighting Venom Rogue for that 75-point close combat piece, and Venom Rogue before the errata was just better.
Real quick, the symbiote trait is plasticity super senses. If Venom Wolverine is within 4 squares in line of fire of any opposing character, she can't be targeted by ranged attacks. Just throwing that out there for those that are driving.
It's so good, but like Venom Rogue pre-errata, and Venom Wolverine was originally Venom when I built the team.
Sure.
Because she just becomes a second better valued Sky Tyrant.
And because you thought Venom Wolverine was bad, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely, because she was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, because of the silly things you could have done with Venom Rogue before the errata was like copy Venom Magneto's special power, have a free TK for Sky Tyrant, then get free TK'd by Venom Magneto, copy Sky Tyrant speed power.
Right.
It was just dumb. But once the errata came around, Venom Wolverine then just jumped back into where I already thought she was great because she's Punisher War Machine, which is already a good figure. But she's a Punisher War Machine with wild card.
Yeah, the wild card is. I did not value that as highly this year.
Right. So the interaction we definitely missed out on was, I don't want to spoil this for you, but I just want to be clear about it. We missed out on Venom Wolverine being a team player and the fact that Commissioner has Monster and has Underworld. We missed that completely. All three of us did. And we are eating our, what's it called? What do you eat when you're
eat your hat?
Your Chipotle.
Oh my god.
Eating your hat is the phrase.
Yeah,
eating your Chipotle.
Maybe that's
there's something with comeuppance.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyways, we
what about Muppets?
Yeah, we're definitely eating it, whatever it is.
Eating your hat.
Okay,
maybe that's a phrase in Philadelphia, or Pittsburgh.
Whoa!
Sorry, Pittsburgh. Over there. Yeah. What are Yins talking about? I don't know what Yins are talking about. But
you compare us to them over there.
Yeah.
But the other thing that she gets to copy is she gets to copy Batman Ally from Rookie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that helps a lot too.
But then she also the Giant Reach is great because she gets to tie up a piece that she doesn't want to kill. Can't be shot by anybody else now, and gets to attack other people.
Yeah, Giant Reach should be valued higher than it is. It makes a figure so much better to have that, like crazy amounts.
Yep. But yeah, she performed well. Blackheart did Blackheart things. Sky Tyrant did Sky Tyrant things, and Orange Proteus was a hoss in almost every game.
Yeah, he was the one that got me when we played for sure.
Yep.
Because that was very annoying.
He's really strong when paired with Venom Wolverine. Because plasticity, and then specifically I was preparing for the Thanos matchups with it. I'm gonna go base Thanos, have Proteus near him, barrier around Thanos and Venom Wolverine, and what are you gonna do?
I rolled a 6 on the breakaway.
But so I misbarriered against you. You had nowhere to go if I barrier properly.
Yeah, it was annoying for sure. Against the Proteus was probably the MVP of our match.
Yep, agreed.
The mistake Tylor made was allowing Proteus to retail.
There's an argument there.
I mean, that's fair. But the rest of my team is a huge threat, though.
Really? It's like the 3 best attackers in Modern.
And I think that's why your team warrants an explanation. I think that's why it's good that you're on to talk about it, because I legitimately would look at your team and I say, okay, he's playing the best pieces in Modern, and he just has a thing for Venom Wolverine.
Right. So I would say the basis, and I went back and looked this up. So the reason we rated Venom Wolverine so lowly or lower than obviously her performance was, is that there was no reason you would play Wolverine because
over a black,
a second black card.
Right. Yeah, I mean that was the
and I will disagree on that, because 2 black cards I think is superfluous, because they can't both activate the trait, and 1 black card is enough.
That's true. They do play well together though. If you hit either of them hit with a leadership, it's it's better because they you have 2 shots at getting at least 1 guy to go on.
Sure, absolutely. But what I loved about the team when I was building the team, and I sent it to Joshuaparlin, I sent it to PJ. I'm like, hey, I put this team together. What do you guys think? And I make the joke that I channeled my inner Joe when I built this team, because it's just offense.
Yeah,
it's just go. It can make 3 to 5 attacks on its alpha strike.
Yeah, so could you just like set up your go-to alpha, like the maximum?
So the at max potential, it's on a 4x4 map, so like Iron Man's Workshop. It's TK Sky, Power Action TK Sky Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
Venom Wolverine copies Wildcard on turn 1, carries Venom Magneto up.
Mm-hmm.
TK Sky Tyrant to meet Venom Wolverine.
Wait, what was the last part?
The free TK Sky Tyrant further. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm on the 4x4. I don't need the second. The free TK goes to Blackheart.
To get him up, okay.
Yep. So if I've made a guard, Sky Tyrant charge flurries carrying Venom Wolverine. 2 attacks, drops her off. She makes an attack. Blackheart running shot shoots, kills a guard, shoots again.
Can he reach just for the TK and killing a guard?
On a 4x4 he can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
And are you equipping her?
So I would generally equip her with the Remaker Ring, which gives her the token. She gets the second token from moving, carrying Venom Magneto.
Yeah, or whatever.
Or whatever she wants to do on turn 2. Normally, I would give Tyrant the Power Gem, but I've been learning a lot because Tyrant is such a target. Power Gem on Blackheart is just really good.
It is. I'd probably prefer it on Blackheart because he gets to attack so much. You're right. I feel like Sky Tyrant can just do enough on his own.
Agreed.
So I'd agree.
And then usually, so my turn 1 is usually double equip, make rookie.
Did you win map most of the time?
So I think I won map one more time than I lost map.
Okay.
I won map twice in all of top 16.
Okay.
I won against you and I won against Larry.
That makes sense. You're +6. I mean.
Yep. I lost to Nate down 2. I lost to Patrick down 1 million. And then I
should have watched that game. I meant to. Is it recorded anywhere?
It is. Okay. On the Clixed Off YouTube and on the Coffee and Clix YouTube.
Okay. Because I know I meant to. I watched a lot of the games. I didn't watch. How did that game go?
Really well for me.
Losing map to monsters in most situations, just like
all right. So
Pat's goal is to just win.
Dan, you were observing the game.
So here's my point, right? So here's what I'd like to talk about, right? And so Azarith, right? So like, and this is a good point for you to, as you come off your first big tournament win here, and how do you parlay that? Yeah, it was Azarith's first big.
This was my first big one.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of just assumed you had won it because I see you all the time. Okay, congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's the nuance of pod play versus IRL play. So as Azarith entered top 4, I spent time with Azarith along with Joe and PJ and I think even Jack. Spent a lot of time reviewing our Clixed Off footage that I had streamed of Nate and what does Azarith need to do in that matchup, right? So like that whole first turn where Azarith goes and Sky Tyrant bypasses the whole Lockjaw squad and goes KOs everybody in that room. That
100% planned out.
That was a calculated play down to the T. And then I didn't participate in his finals match, but Azarith had a very spread out play on Otherworld Castle to where Sky Tyrant wasn't going to be able to KO anything of significance.
Joe, PJ, and I worked pretty diligently on that setup.
Right. So here's the stepping stone that I want to point out for everyone, right? As you watch those 2 matchups on the Clixed Off YouTube channel, and then understand how pod play works, the stepping stone there is that when you go to an IRL tournament, and as you enter something like Worlds or Nationals, all of that prep is done prior to the tournament.
Yep.
So I think you spent at least 5 hours on your top 4 match. You spent at least 5 hours on your finals match. So whenever I've said in the past, and I've been made fun of for saying this before, like, oh, you're joking, you're lying, and I'm absolutely not, no cap. When I go into Worlds or Nationals, the ones that I've won, the 2 Worlds that I won, Rock Worlds, I had 400 hours of practice going into those tournaments.
Yeah.
Between talking, playing, strategizing, strategery, and you have to have all of that done prior to entering the single day or 2-day tournament.
And I think that's something that a lot of people like misconstrue as far as like prep time doesn't necessarily mean time. You can just be theory crafting. You can just be talking about things. And that's prep.
Right. Yeah. So like each individual matchup spends, multiple hours. Like, and I go back to this one just because it's one of our more famous examples. But Tylor and I spent 3 hours on what happens if you lose map to the Gotham City theme team with his Wales team.
Yep.
And during our theory crafting and so what we typically do with theory crafting is, we assume that our opponent's going to play perfectly. What happens if our opponent plays perfectly or near perfectly? Yep. And like in that situation, I was like, I'm sorry, Tylor. I think that if the Gotham City team wins map and plays perfectly or near perfectly, your win chances are probably 30%.
Yeah.
Because
account for perfect play and average dice.
Right. And in that situation, right, just for a little bit more detail for those that haven't been following us for 4 years, is like that Gotham City matchup, Tylor loses 3 or 4 of his retails that turn, and he loses a whale. He loses 1 whale or 2 whales, and I'm like, I don't know how you recover from that, Tylor. And so Tylor, as he goes into his finals match of Worlds, that situation happens, and his opponent doesn't play out that way, but Tylor has planned for the worst case scenario, and it doesn't happen, and he's able to pull it out.
Yeah, so he gets to adjust to the mistakes his opponent is making,
right,
instead of having to do it on the fly.
That's right. So in a pod play tournament, right, you're able to do that with some prep time, right? You're Batman.
Yep.
But whenever it comes to the big tournament, you have to Batman the entire field, prep time the whole field before you go into play.
Yep.
So that's the stepping stone.
I will say also, there are times where you do get a little bit more prep time if you make it to the cut.
Absolutely.
Because if you make it to the cut, generally there is a couple hours break, or even at Nationals, there's like a day break.
You know who your opponent is, and then you can go into the second day with them.
Sure,
yeah,
I agree. But that's a relatively new thing, right? Like Nationals and Worlds 2019 were the first ones to introduce the 2-day event where top 8 was cut onto Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So that was relatively new.
But yeah, absolutely 100%. And that's something that I was kind of down on myself a little bit when I was talking to Joe. And I was like, hey, we worked on this a lot and we prepped on it on each game. Does that make this win less for me? And he's like, no, everybody that you played had the same opportunity to do that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You're right. So, and it's the same idea, right? So it doesn't take away from anything from your win or anything, but it's just a point that I want to make. You got to do that before each round, knowing who your opponent is.
Right.
The stepping stone for you, and what I want to see from you in future events, is you've got to do that prep time prior to the event.
Yeah.
Because, like, the difference being, like, if you had faced, you know, Pat or Nate, you know, and you didn't, it was a one-day tournament, right? You hadn't really made that prep time. You may not have.
I probably don't make those plays.
You probably don't make those plays, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, the same can be said the other way, too, though. Like, Pat knew what his team was, right? And he obviously would have came up with a plan.
Right. Well, I mean, but like Pat's team, for example, right, would have just done the same thing, right? Like his team's fairly linear, right? As in, you know, Jubilee Jubilee somehow gets converted and yeets on turn 2, right?
Sure.
Which ended up not happening.
Right.
In our game.
There you
go. So he had some adjustment time. It didn't work out well for him. Let's be.
It didn't.
If you go watch the game, Tyler, you'll see my setup in my starting area, and you're gonna think it's a little weird.
Okay.
Because it even like Pat even said, he's like, "You're really spread out." I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't want to get sky. I don't want my whole team to get sky time."
Right.
Yeah.
But we had set up a play in our starting area that could go based on whatever Pat did on his turn 1.
Okay.
I could either, if he sidesteps the moloids like we expected, I can go and actually kill the moloids and have Tyrant back in my starting area.
Oh, okay.
And then protected by Proteus. If he doesn't do that, I can equip Tyrant with the remake, protect him with Proteus, and hope.
Yeah, right.
That's just as a guy who does a lot of data, tries to apply a lot of data analytics to HeroClix tournaments. That's why it's hard to with this tournament, because of like you can generally, but it's a little hard because you have to factor in pod play, you have to factor in all these things that occur that don't necessarily typically occur, which doesn't make them bad. It's just it's hard to figure out where the meta is based off of this, because this was obviously the first Empire legal tournament. Like, obviously, you could take away Monster is crazy good. Like, that's an obvious.
I think Monster is probably the best keyword.
Right, which.
So that would lead, real quick, that would lead me to my another point here, right? 3 of the top 4 in this tournament were Sky Tyrants.
Really?
Yeah.
And
were they all Monster?
The top 3 teams were all Monsters.
That's right. And then there was numerous Sky Tyrants, right, throughout top 16. Mm-hmm. So regardless of like the data analytics, like the nuances around the data analytics, how many times do we have to say on this podcast or to the general competitive community in general, is your team ready for Sky Tyrant to come fucking punch you in the face?
Let's Azarith, do you think Sky Tyrant should be on the watch list? Because we talked about this before.
I think he would be worth a look at. Yeah. So in my final game against Pat, after Sky Tyrant went and killed the Moloids, he didn't do anything else the rest of the game.
Sure.
He never left my starting area.
Well, he went back to your starting area, and then he went and charged down towards the bottom.
Yeah, he did. He did go to your opponent's starting side, kill,
and come back.
Yes. And come back. So it's,
that was Venom Mags enabling that, though.
Yeah, he's really good too. It's hard. It's hard to say with Sky Tyrant because, like, obviously he does so well, so often, and everybody knows what he does, and he still does it. But at the same time, it's just like, it's really just it's all the little things that he does. It's hard to.
It's the combination of powers.
Yeah, like it is because it's nothing like inherently broken. Like full map charge, we've seen people with that. Like Quake, we've seen people like somebody can do what he does, but nobody can do everything he does. And I think just it's the combination.
And nobody does it as well as he does, really.
Right,
as Gaston, yeah.
Yeah, I think if he didn't have the move after each hit, he would be much more reasonable. But the fact that he can get 2 triggers of the move half.
Yeah, I've said once per turn on that would be an okay fix for him. He'd still be just really good.
Well, okay, so real quick, like you mentioned, should he be put on the watch list?
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember the last watch list was
Black Widow?
end of 2020. Yeah, so you had Tri-Sentinel, Iceman, Black Widow, Valeria, Venom Groot, 1776, and Captain Marvel. Now, obviously, some of those had inherent problems, like Tri-Sentinel. You had Valeria and Groot had their little issue. So it was mostly 76, Widow, and then maybe Captain Marvel, even though they ultimately didn't errata Marvel.
Sure.
So that's what you had on the previous watch list, if you want to use that as a litmus test.
Yeah. I think Sky Tyrant is more of a problem than Valeria Von is.
Wait, you cut out.
I think Sky Tyrant is more of a problem than Valeria.
You cut out again, Azarith.
Can I cut out again? Sky Tyrant is more of a problem than VVD.
Sky Tyrant is more of a problem. Oh, than VVD was pre-errata.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay.
And I played Latveria. Like, I played that team.
It's got to be true, right? I don't know.
I mean, I think the issue...
No, the problem with her is that you could do it multiple times. So you could just, like, move up and then deal 5 damage to somebody without rolling. That was the issue with her. Even if it wasn't good, it was just, like, sort of broken. It wasn't... Like, Sky Tyrant, there's nothing broken about Sky Tyrant. We're just nerfing him because he is too good, which is pretty rare. They've always justified
too effective for his...
Well, remember, they tried to watchlist Vulture and did nothing. So...
Because he couldn't go on a theme.
Wait, they didn't... Yeah. And then the next...
No, I know, but inherently, Vulture, you could argue it was worse because he could just keep going.
Right.
There's like something about
they do different things. I'm just saying he was put on the watch list and they said no. So
right. So yeah, Alex. So based on your litmus test, right? Sky Tyrant is fine.
If I were to a betting man and trying to say what WizKids would do, they would say he's fine.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with you, right? So my point is, you have to be ready for Sky Tyrant, right? It's what does your team do if you lose map to Sky Tyrant, and very notably again between Worlds and second place of this event, what happens when your team loses to Sky Tyrant and there's a Jubilee? Both of those things are extremely important because Jubilee makes your barrier not matter, so Sky Tyrant can come in and flurry. And someone would say, well, only Pat's playing Jubilee. Well, there's X-Men. X-Men showed up in the Texas event. The final team, now while the Doom Thanos team prevailed, they played on Otherworld Castle with a Jubilee, and SQ was able to get around it. But Jubilee, super relevant, second place in the two big events. She won the Bradcast unofficial Worlds. So Jubilee paired with the Sky Tyrant, what does your team do? Can you survive it? If the answer is no, or maybe you need a team. Maybe you need a team build adjust.
Maybe you need a doctor.
Yeah.
You know what?
And
the halftime show was legit. Okay, we got the doctor back.
Yeah. But to your point, Dan, it could even be less of a build problem, more of a playstyle. A lot of players don't like to spread out.
And a lot of teams don't work as well if you're spread out.
But if it comes down to my team not working out or using my entire team to Sky Tyrant,
yeah, there's probably a right answer there.
I mean, I'm sorry, I missed the past minute or two. You guys did talk about how just Monster just has a crazy low entry point to building a high theme, right?
We didn't, but it's definitely there. Yeah.
Okay, outside of your unique team with Venom Wolverine, we all agree Monster typically needs to win map to just win consistently. They have the flexibility with good pieces
I don't agree with that.
What?
I think if you build a team like Pat's team, then yeah, they need to win map. But you could totally build a monster team.
Right, but I'm saying if you
right,
but the pieces they use for fluff aren't like multiple man. Like they aren't just like, oh, okay pieces. Like
they're good fluff pieces.
Yes, like they're pieces that could, sure, you can argue, okay, Proteus is Proteus, but he still does.
Their fluff piece is Wendigo. Their fluff piece is a win condition.
Yeah, but so right now, if they were trying to put it on the watch list, they would probably just say, yo, I mean, we're about to lose Dark Phoenix, which means all those fluff monster pieces are gone. So Monster now has to go to like Azarith's team, a +6, because they're not going to have the flexibility.
Need another source of barriers.
Right, which
rotation's really going to hurt my team because it loses Orange Proteus.
Yeah, and there's not really a good monster barrier option.
Agreed. Yep.
But yeah, Zero Ring with Scarab.
But Zero Ring might rotate too.
Oh, it should rotate. Yeah, it's 2019 should be gone.
Oh, that's so sad.
No. But you're slightly incorrect there. So XCPS came out the end of 2019. The rest of the rings came out at the same time XTPS was released in 2019. ConLEs should get 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
Sets get the 2-ish years thing. So if I'm a betting man, I could be wrong, but based on past data, the rings should survive this year's cutoff. Should.
Sure. There's no 2018. Right now we're at 2019.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the earliest.
2019 cons should survive until 2023 retirement.
Right, but I'm saying there's no years before 2019 that's legal. So I don't think they're just not going to not rotate anything con-wise. Because I think they went light last year anyway, didn't they?
No, they only went light one set because of Rebirth.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just
that's a whole nother different thing. But
because I'm also sitting here thinking that
Monster
we're about to get so many more objects. Disney Plus has a bunch of objects. Exoswords has a bunch of objects. Mm-hmm. I absolutely say, oh yeah, gems are gone and the rings are gone because we're about to get 2 sets full of objects.
It's different. I'm gonna miss them so much because it was just like, I need to add an object. Here's 10 options. Pick, instead of just like 1 or 2 random things each set.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm with you. So for like, I don't know. That's a whole different discussion. Now, for what that's worth,
was there anything
for what that's worth? Real quick, today's February 25th. Historically speaking, March 10th ish is
my birthday.
Is it really your birthday? No shit.
Yeah.
That is also the time, or approximately when retirement is announced. So.
Nothing. Yeah, so now's when you need to be trying to sell your figures if you can.
That's kind of true.
So Monster as his team. Back to that. Right back around to that.
Yeah. There's nothing against Pat or Paul and their versions of the team that uses a lot of like the high theme.
No.
What I like most about my version of the team is how durable it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was good. Yeah, because obviously you can't expect to go first on +6. So yeah, you have to basically assume you're going to go second a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
You can obviously you have the barrier that helps depending on the map that they pick. But yeah, you got obviously nobody's focused on Blackheart, right? Because he's not dying.
Right.
Venom Wolverine is super hard because the only real lightweight is
Sky Tyrant.
Yeah, Sky Tyrant because Commissioner can has stealth and
Mastermind.
Which I mean they're always going on against Sky Tyrant, and then I'm assuming. Well, you said you have Remaker Ring, right?
Yep.
So you just try to really just defend Sky Tyrant.
Yeah, and honestly, like Remaker Ring will just go on, because that gives her a double rollout plus poison.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if they're going to commit fully to my Sky Tyrant, they are probably within reach of me countering it.
Right. Yeah.
So
because my team is incredibly mobile as well.
So I think one thing people are probably sitting here thinking, and it would be good to talk about, is, you know, they're looking at your team thinking, hey, I want to play that.
Sure.
Has there been anything in War of the Realms that you're interested in?
No. Not
I
for
had
that
to ask.
team.
Listen,
not for that team.
It was not legal.
Absolutely.
So
not for that team.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is there anything on the team you would change right now, or are you just happy with it?
I'm pretty happy with where it's at. And honestly, like, if I have to lose Proteus, like, I don't know what I'm going to do to change it. There's probably some, like, small tweaks I can make as far as, like, maybe different objects. But as far as right now, I'm pretty happy with what it was.
Right, so if you make it, if Proteus, I mean, Proteus is most likely going to retire, so you lose Proteus, you lose the Remaker Ring, you lose Power Gem, so it's actually 45 points that you free up. So there's a lot of 45-point monster options that you could slot back in.
Yeah, and who knows what we might get in that time frame. We might get a monster piece with Bear.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting zombies.
Yeah.
So
Zombie Strange.
So specifically, let's talk about Dylan Disney wants to know how much work did Venom Wolverine actually put in?
She died in one game.
Because you left her in the back because she's bad?
Yep.
Was that what we're going to... Okay.
That is exactly what happened.
You're like, she's theme fluff. I just keep her in the back.
What her real weakness is you not realizing your opponent has 3 outwits.
Okay.
Because I went in alpha'd with my Tyrant to kill his Molecule Man, hit Molecule Man, killed him, dropped Venom Wolverine off, blades his Chip, killed Chip with Venom Wolverine, and then he triple outwitted Venom Wolverine and killed her. And I was like, oh, that's a thing that can happen. Yeah, never making that mistake again.
Yeah, that's true.
But she can do so much work as an offensive threat. She's very defensive. She's really annoying. She is
that's the biggest thing.
Like so when I played against Tylor in top 16, I was so worried about blowing up his alchemical fire, I completely botched my alpha because I didn't have Tyrant in line of fire of Venom Mags. So I just said, you know what? Screw it. And I double TK'd Venom Wolverine out and ran her to his starting area.
Yep. Just sat there with plasticity and the giant dude.
Yep, with Orange Proteus there. And I'm like, all right, you're either going to fight her and I have coming next turn, or you're going to go deal with the rest of my team and she's going to come up from behind.
Yeah, and she's very annoying because you never want to focus her, but she has plasticity and she moves real far, so it's really hard to get away from her.
Yep. And if you actually do tag her, she has a Blades power that heals her.
Right, yeah. Like, even if you focus her, it's hard to kill her in one, because she's, 6 clicks with a stop, right?
It's 5 clicks to her stop click.
Right, yeah. So it's, and she has traded super senses and that other thing.
Yep.
You said you equip her for the shape change. So it's, she's like really more of a tie-up piece if you think about it. She's obviously very effective offensively, but just as a tie-up piece.
Yep. So she pulled a ton of work. Like, there was no one. I'll say this again. There was no one on my team that didn't pull their weight, and she just happened to also pull a lot of weight. Probably, honestly, more than Sky Tyrant was in some matchups, because there were some matchups where Sky Tyrant really didn't get to do anything, and she was just able to do the things that she does. Like against Pat, I went to Pat's side of the map, just outside his starting area, just by carrying Blackheart and then Blackheart carrying her. Because if you think about her underworld carry, it's a 13 square TK for Blackheart.
I mean, kind of. You can't do a power action after that.
No, but when you have a guard, it is.
Right, yeah.
And then she's on 2 tokens and gets to attack, so you make up for him not being able to power action attack. Because he carries her up.
Right, with the running shot, yeah.
Yep. And then
she moves 12 places in 13. He running shots while she moves 12 places him. She would be in 14 places him in 15. He running shots all the way up to 20.
Yep.
Dang. plays her in 21. She attacks 23 with her giant reach. Dang, that's full map.
Yep, just with her.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
That's one action.
Yeah,
and you get 2 attacks in their starting area. That's pretty nuts. You lose 25 points, obviously.
Yeah, yep. That was against Pat. The points that I scored were 4 guards and a Brainiac. Is what I gave up.
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, Venom Wolverine. I think a lot of people. I say give her a shot, and I think if you play her properly, you will be surprised at how good she is.
Yeah, I mean, she's still really valuable, right? I mean, just in general. So.
Mm-hmm. And she has 2 very good relevant keywords. She has X-Men and she has monsters.
Detective. Oh.
Yeah, detective.
Codex.
Codex is definitely the one.
So, Don Bull wants to know, as I think we answered Don Bull's second question, what matchup were you worried about the most? The one where they have the triple outwit sounds like
that was definitely one. Actually, the matchup I was most concerned about, other than Pat, because I just knew I had to figure out something, was Tylor.
Oh.
Because I knew if I lost map against Tylor, that game was so much worse for me. Because you go to King's Tomb, and I had plays, but man, was it difficult.
Yeah, with my team, if I win map, which I never did once, and I go to King's Tomb, I get at least 2 power gems. I can like TK up, free TK, free phase, attack, and mind control in your start anywhere on the map, and then I double power action TK him back and still have 6 squares of barrier. Like that team is so good when I win map.
Yep.
But I never did.
Yeah, so that was honestly like my biggest work matchup.
Yeah,
was losing map to Tylor.
And and Tylor, we did not know at that time that Realm of Death was legal.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do that. That map hurts in my head too much.
No, I would say, just as a note, I am loving Realm of Death.
Yes, people should. Yeah, if you don't have that map, maybe get it right now. It's really good.
And if you're not looking at that map, at least prep for it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Like I'm telling you, we were talking in the pre-show just a little bit. Deity, Spider-Man family, Thanos. So I played Spider-Man family in the Coffee and Clix event, and I didn't play Thanos because it just didn't feel right. Because you had Tyler's team.
Fantastic Four switch out team.
I did. I played Fantastic Four swap. And Tyler's version and then Jackson Smith's Cosmic version, it just didn't feel right. I just couldn't explain. It just didn't feel right. Spider-Man, Spidey, Thanos, boys, girls, it feels good. It feels good to me. It feels great.
Is it? I know we meme about Utamind. It feels like it's more reminiscent of Fury, right? We used to set up Fury with all of his.
Oh yeah, so spawn. It does feel like Cosmic Nick Fury and Cosmic Thanos. So Azarith, that's probably before you started playing. So back in the day, I had a +5 Cosmic, and it switched to a +3 Soldier theme team with the orange battery, where I was able to sit on top of a mountain, place heavy objects on the stairs going up said mountain, use the orange battery to cut off your improved movement.
That was so dumb. That whole thing was dumb.
And then use Fury to outwit fire and take off your line of fire. And then I had an Ultron drone to call in a second Fury. So my turn 2 was 2 Furies shooting you for max damage and attack.
Oof. Was that while the map that started with an R was legal?
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go ahead and wrap up some of these questions for Azarith here. I think we've Azarith we've kind of kept him a little bit longer than he would have liked to tonight. So, but yeah, there's 2 more questions. So McConnell. Where do you feel Gamora and Destroyer Prime's rank? Top 5, top 10, lower? And then Jack wonders, do you think Gamora Prime is the new Venom Wolverine? And specifically, do you think that we are ranking Gamora Prime too low?
Which one do you like better, Gamora Prime or Venom Wolverine?
That's tough.
And I guess where would you put her in our team maker too? Because that'd be.
So you guys had her in what, B?
I had her in B. I don't know if anybody else had her higher.
I think she can fluctuate between B and A. She is very strong. I've been testing a lot with her. She's really good. You do have to play a little differently to make sure that she is at least going to be able to get an attack off before she dies.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then the rest of your team should be able to just kind of pick up where she left off. As far as where I rank the primes, Destroyer's in the top 5. She's not.
Yeah, that's
100%. She is not a top 5 prime. Probably, maybe low top 10.
Yeah,
maybe.
There's so many good primes.
There's so many good primes. What she does that I really like is she can one-shot Blackhearts.
Yeah, it's nice. It is nice.
But yeah, so I do think that she could end up being a sleeper figure, kind of like Venom Wolverine was. Just, I think a lot of people are really down on her and not giving her a chance. And she can just take over a game if you let her.
Yeah, she can for sure.
She can.
Obviously,
I agree.
She's
like against Fantastic Four. Like I've tested against Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four hates her.
Yeah.
Because I just say you don't get Mastermind.
Sure. Yeah. When it's single attack. Same thing with
animals.
No, I mean yes, but Gladiator. She gets through Gladiator really well as well.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Gladiator.
Well, if you get to him before the confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I think my only problem with Gamora, and while I don't think I'm personally sleeping on her, is that she is not that she doesn't get swapped, and if she goes second, like as in winning map player going first, I have a chance to do something about it. And if I don't do something about it, that's on me, yo. Yep. And even if I go second, right, like I should be able to block against her. And if I don't, then that's on me. It feels like losing to Gamora is more on your opponent than what the person playing.
It comes down to the skill. It comes down to skill. You either lost to it because you let it happen, or your opponent out.
Right. Yeah, I think I tend to agree with that. So.
Couldn't you say the same with Sky Tyrant though?
Well, I agree, but Sky Tyrant in a little bit more. Sky Tyrant's even more oppressive in that manner.
Because Sky Tyrant's also not a prime.
Yeah, he's not a prime, and if you TK out Gamora and she charges,
you don't even care. You don't have a prime on your team. You don't care if he's a prime. That's
Destroyer.
Crazy. You know, well, obviously now.
Oh no, I lied. There is something that I changed about my.
True. Add Destroyer. You are correct there.
There you go.
And then I think
Destroyer
there was one last question. Don Bull did want to know: do you think you would ever swap out Proteus and the Remaker ring for your Ymir or Surtur?
Oh
no!
Before
not on that team. But I like Surtur.
Oh no! You're one of those. You're one of those. How can you like Surtur when you just played Commissioner for 15 games? They're the same point cost.
Because
it's so
let me reiterate. I like Surtur not on monsters.
On Ruler?
On Spider-Man family.
But then if you do Spider-Man family, you got Fulcrum. He's way better.
If you're playing the robot version,
yeah.
I'm gonna play the Mary Jane to bring him in. And the thing that's different with him than Fulcrum, he doesn't have Colossal Indifference. I can call in help from the Spider-Verse, Surtur across the map with Hammer Eye.
Well, that's pretty fun. Wait, no you can't.
Yeah, you can.
No, you get a place
adjacent.
Wait, somebody with the Spider-Man family keyword adjacent?
Yes.
I thought it was the other way around.
No.
I thought they pulled. Okay, that's pretty fun. Okay,
so you can Surtur bomb somebody.
Why has no one ever done this?
Because
I saw someone do it once.
So the issue is,
and it was really good.
The issue in general, Tyler, is that you've played Hammer Eye without other Spider-Man family keywords.
Yeah, you don't know what that trait does.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
I don't think Spider. I don't think.
I didn't know he had that.
I don't think. I don't think. Yeah, Hammer Eye is not. I don't think is at his strongest, like from what we've seen currently on Spider-Man family. He's stronger on Animal, but
Sure.
It's a 3 through 6, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have an Empower set where he's going to come in.
Damn it.
I mean, you're also used to carrying a bunch of people and placing them.
Right, you can't have placed.
Yeah, so like on Animal, that first bop over, you're not getting Surtur over. It's if you survive for the next turn and he hits.
And if they're bypassing the rest of my team to go kill Surtur, I'm going to kill the rest of their team.
Right. So like in Azarith's example, you can TK out Spider Hammer, right? Because it says no other character.
Even when he comes over, it's fine. It's a 12 for 3 attack.
That shuts off stop clicks until your next turn.
Well, if you pick the stop. Right?
So
and they still have the powers that are on the stop.
So hold on, Tyler. So here's the situation, right? So you do the 8 square TK because Spider-Man family gets that, whatever.
Yep.
And then you move him out 12 squares. Then he gets a free attack with the Waddle Arm, or with free attack with the Waddle Arm Giant Reach.
Yep.
He gets to do it. He gets to try to call over then. And then he gets to attack with his, potentially with Incap or free attack from the Waldo Arms, and gets to try to roll again.
It's
right?
once per turn.
No. Not what I'm reading right now. It says, when Spider-Man hits an opposing character, if no other character has been placed this turn, after resolution. So if you roll a 1 or 2 on the first one...
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you get to roll again with Spider-Ham.
Even better.
So,
okay.
I think the thing that people are looking at Surtur and saying he's bad are because they're comparing him to Surtur.
No.
He's not old Surtur.
I didn't know.
No, Tyler compares him to Commissioner.
Oh.
Yeah.
They do completely different things.
Yeah, no.
Tyler likes
they don't.
to do that.
If I no, they don't. He's a great attacker. He adds Rookie, who's arguably a better attacker than Surtur, and that's on top of everything else he does.
Oh, okay.
Surtur's not good. I stand by it.
Well, you're allowed to be wrong, Tyler.
You're allowed. I played Surtur Thursday. He's really great.
But no, I wouldn't switch out Orange Proteus for Surtur or Ymir on my team.
Sure, you probably need the barrier more.
Yeah. Orange Proteus is just too good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so let's wrap up for today. Final thoughts. Azarith, as the guest of honor today, you go first. What are your final thoughts?
I'm excited to get back to in person. I'm excited for PJ's event.
Same.
When is that? April?
Yeah,
April. It's just it's a very different feeling to actually play with like figures in your hand, roll actual dice.
Need to get some lockjaws.
But yeah, so and I appreciate all the like $40.
Okay.
I've got 2 of them, Tyler.
Yeah, and if anybody is interested in those games, go to Clixed Off YouTube. Check them out. The top 4 in the finals game.
I want to watch it. I just, on a side note, I think that's like the best way to practice is to watch your games back. You learn so much doing that.
I watch them a lot. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, Alex, final thoughts?
The reason I ranked Venom Wolverine so low is because she has the Codex keyword. And everyone knows everyone's playing Carnage Symbiote. And, Healing 3, that's just, she's garbage tier. I mean,
that makes sense.
Codex. Have you ever actually done that too?
Yeah, it happens every game, man. You got to watch this game. You just don't see it.
Well, that's valid. And you were correct.
Yeah, so
we were all wrong.
Yeah, so
and she's just the charge piece.
Yeah, it's mostly the Codex part. You've convinced me it's only the Codex part.
Okay.
All right, Tyler.
I'll Elden Ring.
Your mind's in a different universe at the moment.
I'm watching a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening to Clixed Off today. Congratulations, Azarith, again on your win. Thanks for joining us. And we'll talk to y'all next time. And have a great night.
See ya.
See ya.
Mm.